All right, well, welcome to Live from My Drum Room. And today we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Rolling Stones' Black and Blue, released in April 1976. I'm going to do a deep dive into this often overlooked, but without a doubt, classic Rolling Stones record with the emphasis on Charlie's beautiful and soulful playing. It's just pure perfection. And this record, like so many other Stones records from that era, spent a lot of time on my turntable and helped form my drumming vocabulary during my formative years. So it's very special to me, and that's what gave me the idea of doing this today. And I just happen to have my original vinyl LP that I bought when this came out in 1976. Yes, I did find it. Boy, I listened to this so much. I, of course, have since bought it on, I think I probably must have bought it on cassette, definitely on CD. And the 2025 remix by Steven Wilson is really fantastic. If you haven't checked that out, definitely check it out. I downloaded it. I didn't buy the CD, but I think I probably will. But this is the original 1976 vinyl. I bought this. It came out in April of 1976. I'm certain I bought it days, if not the exact day that it was released. I mean, that was what we did back then. So anyway, come along for the ride, and I invite everybody watching at home to join the conversation, share your thoughts about the Rolling Stones' classic album, Black and Blue. So here we go. Let's jump in. And first of all, I do want to say, if you're on Facebook, you're watching this right now, obviously. You probably know that I created a group called the Charlie Watts Appreciation Group. And I want to give a shout out to everybody in that group, all 16,000 plus people. If you're not a member of that group, if you somehow go on Facebook and are not aware of this group, I don't know how that's even possible. Please join the group. We'd love to have you. And it's free. I've waived the membership fee this month. So you can join for free. No, it's free all the time, obviously. I recently posted a sort of feeler discussion on the group, on my Charlie Watts group, just to see what the reaction would be to doing a show about Black and Blue. And I was really, really happy to see so much enthusiasm and so many people chimed in. Thank you, everybody who did so, about, their memories of it and how much it meant to them. And, lots of really great comments about Charlie's playing. I mean, we're all on the same wavelength about so much of this stuff. I saw many comments specifically about the drum sound on that record. And that's kind of where I land automatically on that record. It's one of the best sounding records. Even records they've made since then, I think there's just something very special about the sound they got on that record. Now, they did it at the same studio they did It's Only Rock and Roll at Musicland in Munich, Germany. And presumably a lot of the same people were there. I know Glenn Johns engineered it, at least to some degree. Glenn Johns was involved, and he is just, hands down, in my estimation, the greatest engineer, certainly for drums. I mean, Led Zeppelin, The Who, Jimi Hendrix, the Rolling Stones. There's about 10,000 other people that he's known for, the great Glenn Johns. So, great sounding record. Couple of things that I'm going to state the obvious to all those Rolling Stones fans watching right now, and then we'll kind of get started. We know that in December of 1974, just as they were getting ready to go in and record this record, Mick Taylor resigned, and that was a big surprise. They did not see that coming. So they had to pivot, and the record that I think that, for all intents and purposes, maybe that they had planned to make became more of a sort of auditioning guitarist situation. Which I think kind of, that makes it very interesting when you listen to this from front to back, from song 1 to song 8, all the way through. There's a lot of different styles. And three guitar players, really, the three guys that are on this record, and of course, Ronnie Wood, it was his audition, and two incredible American guitar players, Wayne Perkins and Harvey Mandel. And my understanding, and I might have read this in Keith's book or somewhere, is that that Wayne Perkins was, this close to getting the gig. I mean, he spoken with an English accent, he might be the Rolling Stones guitarist today. They chose Ronnie Wood. And I can understand back then in 1975, 1976, he was a friend of theirs. I think all of us who are musicians who are in a band totally get it that the personalities and the chemistry in a band is more than 50% of it, really. If you can't get along with your bandmates, and I'm not saying that Keith wouldn't have gotten along with Wayne Perkins or Harvey Mandel, but Ronnie Wood was a known commodity, or as he was known back then, Ron Wood was a known commodity to Keith and the Stones. So, he had a leg up on those guys. And as great a guitar player as he is, I think any guitar player would tell you that, Wayne Perkins was as close to Mick Taylor, I think, as they were going to get in terms of getting that sort of fluidity, that sound, that what Mick Taylor brought to the band. So anyway, just a little bit of background there. They were sort of put in a position where they had to find a guitar player, record these songs for this new album, and the idea being that they were going to tour in 1975, which they did in fact do. And I think they had intended to promote this record on the tour, which they didn't do. I think they played Cherry O Baby. I did some internet research. I think they played it maybe one time in 1975. But most of the songs were in the can by then, which I didn't know. I saw them in 1975 in June at the Boston Garden, and they played a whole bunch of stuff from It's Only Rock and Roll and Sticky Fingers and Goat's Head Soup and, all these other great songs through their catalog, but nothing from Black and Blue, which in June of 1975, I had no idea was, in the making. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. The record, of course, was produced by the Glimmer Twins, Mick and Keith. It's a great, like as we said, a great sounding record. I think they did a great job producing it. We hear Billy Preston, we hear Ollie Brown playing percussion on a number of songs, who then joined them on tour with Billy Preston as part of the touring band in 1975, 1976. What else? Basic Tracks, my understanding, began in December of 75, and they were done by December 74, and were done in April of 75 with the Basic Tracks, and then overdubs and, vocals and that sort of thing. And also, yes, I'm seeing a comment about Rory Gallagher, who also, and I was going to mention that, is reputed to have been very close, certainly, in the finalists. But again, I know you guys all know the story. Jeff Beck auditioned, and if you want to call it an audition, I think he came and played with him. I can't imagine Jeff Beck auditioning for anybody. I think Peter Frampton's name was thrown in there, but I don't know that he ever actually auditioned. I think Steve Marriott's name was also thrown in there, but I don't know that he actually played with them. I'm certainly not an expert on this record. I think I know a bit about it. So if people have any real firsthand or some solid information, put it out there, share it with me. Love to just have everybody be involved in this conversation. But talking about the record itself, it was a real unique kind of blend of music that I certainly hadn't heard at that time in terms of my Rolling Stones vocabulary. I became a big fan in 1972 with Exile on Main Street, and then everything after that, which was Goat's Head Soup, It's Only Rock and Roll, and I got turned on to the stuff before it. But this record had some different things. For example, the opening track, which we know, Hot Stuff. I'll admit, when I first bought this album and, played it from start to finish, as we all did back then, I wasn't crazy about a lot of these songs. I really wasn't. And I didn't think I ever would be. But it's a classic example of, just listening like we used to do back then from start to finish. And I think probably within a matter of weeks, if not days, I loved this record. You know, it was like my new favorite record. But there were certainly some standouts. Now, I'd heard Hand of Fate on the radio before the album was released. The local rock radio station, WBCN, was known for playing tracks in advance of an album release. And those of us old enough to remember would remember in the 70s, you know, BCN would get the record before and they'd pick songs that they think appealed to their audience back when DJs and programmers could actually choose the songs they wanted to play. Imagine that. So, you know, I remember hearing Hand of Fate before I heard the record and probably before I heard anything else on that record and thinking it was lights out, going to be off the charts, an amazing record. Like, what is this song? Wow. And, you know, I remember being, as a drummer, even being knocked out by the guitar playing on it, having no idea who it was. I might have even assumed it was Keith. I think by then, by the spring of, well, certainly Ronnie Wood had toured with the Stones in 75. So it might have even been a case of assuming that was Ronnie Wood on that song when the record came out in April of 76. Oh, that's Ronnie Wood playing those solos. But it wasn't. And we'll get to that. But Hot Stuff, interesting, you know, kind of song for the Rolling Stones, which was a sort of turning point, I think, for them and Charlie to some degree. We hear him playing a, you know, kind of a, what he sort of came to embrace later on, a more economical sort of feel and beat, playing what's just right for the music always, which is what he always did. And again, I'll admit, as a young 15, almost 16-year-old drummer, I was too immature to understand what they were going for in this song, you know, and I wondered, like, is this like a disco song? And no, it's really not. It's really more of it's funky, you know, it's funky, and it makes you want to tap your foot. And if you've ever seen them play Hot Stuff live, it's an amazing song live. So I think we're going to just jump in and play it. And let's kind of get the ball rolling here with Hot Stuff. So again, this is first song, side one. This album only has 8 songs. And we'll get into that in a minute too. Some of the outtakes that didn't make it onto this that we saw and heard later on that were great songs that really should have been on this record. And why they weren't, I don't know. But here's the first song, and it will, you know, maybe play the whole thing or close to it. One of Charlie's very few fills in this song. Coming up. All right. Great way to start the record, it kind of gets you on your feet. Yeah, I know there's some commentary about the volume, and I'm kind of just at the mercy of using the the volume that iTunes sets, and that's what I got, folks. So sorry about that. Some records play louder than others, and this one definitely isn't like a loud recorded record. So I think I'm at the max volume, and that's what we got. Anyway, hey, you know what though? If that's the only problem we have today, then I'll settle for that, right? I think you'll all agree with me on that one. Uh, I'm going to move along here, and I wanted to just point out a couple of things. These are things that, as a Rolling Stones fan, as a drummer, as a music geek, things that I find and I like to point out to people. And sometimes it's interesting. My wife sometimes finds it interesting. Sometimes she kind of rolls her eyes, but I think other musicians find these little bits of trivia or inside information interesting. So the next song on the record is my personal favorite from the record, and I think everybody. I shouldn't say everybody, but I think there's a good number of people that I saw responding to this that pointed to Hand of Fate as their favorite track. And there's a lot of great songs in this. Don't forget, I mean, Memory Motel is on this record, which it's tough to beat that. But Hand of Fate is just a good old-fashioned Rolling Stones rocker. And I made a few notes about this one. I'm going to just sort of point out to people before we listen to it. This does feature Wayne Perkins playing the solos. There's technically three solos. There's the main guitar solo in the middle of it. Then there's a breakdown where they do this little funky breakdown and like a little bit of a solo there. And then during the coda, as it starts to wind down, there's a third solo, and that's Wayne Perkins. And what I love about this song is it's, to my ears, it sounds like it was recorded live in the studio. And it's one of those things that if I'd ever asked Charlie that question, he probably would have shrugged his shoulders and said, I don't remember. Maybe he would have. I never did ask him this. But I think, I think those of us that, the sort of people that dissect these songs, you listen to this and you hear a very distinctive rhythm guitar that's no doubt Keith. And then you hear a very distinctive other rhythm guitar that plays the solo. And I only hear I only hear Keith one time and the other guitar, whereas so often Keith is overdubbed a second and a third guitar, So in my mind, I think they played this song, and why wouldn't they, live in the studio and overdub the vocals later, of course, which is what they had to do. But the music sounds like it's live. At least it has that. It's as close to that sounding to me as it could be. And the great thing about this too that I love is you can hear Wayne Perkins, who again is the guy playing the solo. You can hear him switching from playing rhythm to playing the solo back to playing rhythm. Listen to the end of the guitar solo. When it's done, he's right back to playing a very similar rhythm pattern that Keith has been playing all along. It's so great. I mean, when you get into the minutia of that stuff, I think to me, it really makes this special. That's not even taking into account what Charlie plays on this record, on this song. It's some of the most tasteful, perfect pocket. He sets up each verse and chorus perfectly like nobody else could. Like in my estimation, only Charlie could set these. He was just so used to playing with Keith. He knew just how to set up those spots where they'd change, where they'd go from the verse to the chorus, to the middle section, to the breakdown, to the bridge. And, even little things like a little hi-hat bark or just a little, quarter note on the tom-tom and a crash, just something so simple that just takes it from here to there. It's never anything that got in the way. Now, the one other thing I want to point out, and I'm going to try to demonstrate this here, is so we talk about in the song "Hand of Fate." There's a breakdown section that gets kind of funky. Again, it's funky where that's really not the right part, but it's Keith playing this sort of funky rhythm, and Wayne Perkins is soloing over it. Charlie's just playing a little thing on the hi-hat. All you guys that know this song know the part I'm talking about. Now, so a year before they recorded this, a year and some odd number of months before they recorded this song, they were on tour in Europe, of course, the legendary 1973 European tour where they recorded the famous Brussels Affair, greatest live recording ever. And they do this jam section during Heartbreaker, do Heartbreaker. Really long, extended jam session. And so the Heartbreaker live recording was done in October of 73, and Hand of Fate was recorded. Let's consult the jacket and find out. Hand of Fate was recorded March 25th, 1975. So about 18 months later. But the cool thing is this. Keith uses that riff that he played in the live version of Heartbreaker during the middle section of Hand of Fate, or something really similar, very similar. And yes, open G, exactly. That's the Keith sound. Okay, so I'm going to play Hand of Fate all the way through because it's my show and I can do that. And then we're going to listen to a little bit of that Heartbreaker jam section, and you can see the part I'm talking about. All right, so here comes the second track, Hand of Fate, Black and Blue. Check this out. Again, check out especially the guitar solos played by Wayne Perkins. And of course, Keith's beautiful rhythm guitar playing, Charlie and Bill, mixed vocals, everything. The lyrics, complete package. Here it comes. Okay, get ready for this guitar solo coming up. Hear those setups?
He was a viral man, violent kind. He had no love for that yellow man. Then one day, in the drinking bout, swore it drove me right out of town. The hand of face is on you now. I shot that man, I put him on the ground. I put him on the ground, on the ground. Yes, I did.
Okay, here's the funky part.
Wish me luck, I'm gonna need a child. And the fate is on me now. Yeah.
16th notes on the hi-hat, hand to hand.
Too late, baby. Too late now. The hand of fate is on me now. Oh, yeah. I tell. The hand of fate is heavy now. Heavy now.
Back to eighth notes.
The hand of fate is heavy now.
Double time.
Don't you worry. Don't you mind. I know you back. Child boy.
Wayne Perkins just ripping there. Okay, so now, wasn't that great? Wasn't that just amazing? Yeah, man. Big time grooving. Ron Westwood, big time engine room grooving there. Yeah, that's a very special song. So check this out. So if you can remember that section in the middle of the song that I pointed out, the breakdown section where they're just doing this little funky. So check this out. This is Heartbreaker, Do 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 Do, from London, actually. It's not from Brussels. This is from London, September of 1973. So literally 18 months before. And I'm going to try to get this queued up to the section so we don't listen to the entire song. I think it's about 3 minutes and 20 seconds in where they get to this jam section. And I'm willing to bet many people watching right now have this famous Rolling Stones bootleg at home. This is from the Brussels Affair Definitive Collection is the one that I have, but there are 1,000 versions of this Rolling Stones live bootleg from 1973. If you don't own the Brussels Affair, you have to own this, or you cannot call yourself a Rolling Stones fan. It's impossible. This was the greatest collection of live music they ever made, and thank God it was recorded. But anyway, so let's see if this works. This is the little instrumental section of Do 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 Heartbreaker, and I'm going to play this. You hear that riff Keith's playing? Ba-da-ba, 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 ba-da-ba. See, the great thing about Keith and being a Rolling Stone is that you can rehash all your old stuff over and over again. And I love that they did that. Anyway, again, these are the things that when I'm out going for a run and I'm listening to, I think about. Yeah, I know, huh? Anyway, we'll we'll move along here. We've only played two songs from this record. We're going to move on to the third track from the record, and that is, of course, "Cherry O Baby," a beautiful reggae song that we'd first heard the Stones play their version of it really is a reggae song when they played "Luxury" on the record before "It's Only Rock and Roll." They played one of my favorite songs, "Luxury," and that was a real sort of departure from what we'd been used to hearing from them. And it was during this time that they were really starting to branch out and get into that music more. And this is really masterful. Again, I'll admit at first listen, I really didn't appreciate it and really didn't get it. And then once I got it, I really got it. I thought, man, I quickly realized that I certainly couldn't play it the way Charlie played it with his feel. I mean, he had such a great natural feel, and this song exemplifies that feel. So this is "Cherry O Babe" and "Oh Baby." And we're only on the third song, but we're going to keep things moving here. Check it out.
Cherry, oh baby, why in need of thee? If you don't believe it too, what have you left me to do? It's so long I've been waiting for you to come right in. Now that we are together,
listen to what Keith is playing here. Yeah. What a great song. Hey, I'd be remiss if I didn't just take a moment and, just say really sad to learn the passing of one of the greatest, if not the greatest, reggae drummers of all time, Sly Dunbar, who passed away. I guess it was yesterday or maybe the day before. Again, knowing there's a lot of drummers watching, you probably heard this. And I never had the honor or pleasure of meeting him, but man, I'm a fan of his work. I think the first time I was actually aware of him was listening to the song that was a Peter Tosh song that Mick sang on called "Don't Look Back." Got to walk and don't look back. It was a big hit in 1978, and admittedly because Mick was on it, and I think they were signed to Rolling Stones Records, it made me aware of Peter Tosh, and I already knew who the Wailers, Bob Marley, and the Wailers were. But it was Sly Dunbar playing drums on that song, and it's just masterful. Again, he was just a true master drummer. So rest in peace, Sly Dunbar. Yeah. All right, so we'll continue on, and I think everybody knows what the next song is, and I've been looking forward to playing this one. This is, I guess Hand of Fate is probably, as I said, my favorite, but this you'd have to call, in my estimation, the crown jewel of this record, Memory Motel. It features really a duet between Mick and Keith on the vocals. Keith is playing piano, and it's a beautiful song lyrically and musically. And again, my man Charlie he plays the most perfect part in this song. He sets up those verses with these big explosive cymbal crashes that they're like big giant exclamation points, to each section of the song. Sometimes it's a period, sometimes it's an exclamation point, to really make an emphasis. And I know I mentioned this earlier, but I don't know if I was live on the air yet, but I'm going to just mention that I put my black Gretsch drum set here to just take a moment. Now, I wasn't in the studio when the Stones recorded this record, but to the best of my estimation, Charlie was still using his black Gretsch drum set that he got in 1972, because we see that same set or a version of it. Let's see. We see that same drum set in 1975 when the Stones went on tour. Hang on a sec. Sorry, folks. So this is the 1972 stop sign badge Gretsch kit. My drum set right here is pretty much an exact replica. Stop sign badge era, 14 by 22 inch bass drum. This one actually has wood hoops on it, but I took the stock metal hoops off and put them on a different kit. But it came with the same metal hoops that Charlie's 72 kit has in this photo. It has 10 lugs, 9 by 13 tom, 16 by 16 floor tom. That's the kit that he used, a 5 by 14 Gretsch 4160 snare drum. It's an 8-lug chrome over brass snare drum that he used for many years. So that's that kit, and that's the kit you see in this picture. Now, this was the kit that he used in 1975, and at first glance, you might think it's the same exact kit. By the way, the cymbals I'm going to get into in a second. You might think it's the exact same kit, but it's actually not. The toms are indeed the same. They're both stop sign badge, 9 by 13, 16 by 16. The bass drum is a 14 by 22 8-lug. Count them, 1, 2, 4, 6, 8 lugs. And you can see he's got a cymbal mount there, and the tom holder he's not using. Of course, it's on a snare stand. The tom-tom's on a snare stand. But the tom mount is there, whereas his 72 Gretsch kit had no hardware at all on the bass drum. It was like mine. It had no hardware at all. So he took his 1968 round badge Gretsch bass drum out on tour and used that as the bass drum. So it's not exactly the same kit. And what I'm getting at is For Charlie to use this drum set in 1975 on tour would lead me to believe, knowing him the way that I did and just knowing how he did things, he probably used this kit in the studio. He probably preferred the sound of that bass drum, 8 lugs, less mass. It probably had a better sound to his ears, probably to the engineer's ears. And that became his bass drum. And he used that right up until 1978 when he got his Maple kit. So I just wanted to share that little bit of information that I think is probably pretty on the money, that that would have been the kit he used. So again, yes, Daniel McCarthy, that would be the bass drum from the Rock and Roll Circus kit, only the bass drum. And the toms are the 1972 stop sign badge toms, the round badge bass drum from 1968. And, again, I saw both his 72 kit and the bass drum at the Rolling Stones exhibitionism display in New York back in 2016. They had them, Don McCauley, who I was hoping could join me today, but he's working. Don did an amazing job restoring all these old kits that Charlie had put away in storage. So anyway, that's where that comes from. That's where, to me, that amazing sound comes from, is those drums that he used from that period of time onward through Some Girls and up until 1978. Okay, I'm going to take a minute, talk about the cymbals. Now, the cymbals on this record have always been, something that I just thought sound amazing to me. They sound so special, so great. They speak so beautifully. They're recorded so beautifully. And they can do a lot in the studio, obviously with compression and great microphones, but you need to have great sounding cymbals too to make that sound. And by my estimation, what you're hearing on this record is a Paiste 2002 20-inch, either a medium or a ride cymbal. Now, for it to crash the way it crashes leads me to think it's what they call a medium, which is a medium crash. And you can play that as a ride. Charlie may have used, on tour, he may have used a 2002 actual ride, which is a little heavier while on tour. But I think in the studio, in my mind, when you hear the crash cymbal, we're going to hear it a lot in this next song. That's why I'm talking about this now. We're going to hear this 20-inch crash a lot in this song. And I want all you drummers to listen closely. It's definitely not a Zildjian. It just, my ears are pretty good, considering the work that I used to do. And I have a pretty good ear for discerning different types of cymbals and different brands. And Zildjians and Paiste do sound different. There's no mistaking that. And so this crash, this big crash that you hear, I'm certain is a 2002 of something, 20-inch. The small crash that we hear all the time, that's his Paiste 602 thin crash. And the hi-hats, Charlie told me he almost always used Zildjians, old A Zildjians. And I think he did, he certainly did from the 80s on, for sure. But I think there's a really good chance that on this record, he could be using 602s or even 2002s. But I'm thinking possibly some old 602 sound edge hi-hats. They just have a shimmer that it's hard to explain it. Zildjians are very warm sounding and very crisp, and they can be bright and shimmery, but these hi-hats have a certain shimmer to them that lead me to think that they're possibly 602 sound edge Paistes. Very thin and probably not very loud, so they'd record really well. So anyway, I'm going to play Memory Motel, and I want all you guys to really listen closely. Great drum sounds on this. I mean, really big, explosive tom-toms, and again, the cymbals are just lights out, incredible on this. So let me set this up again for the music, and this is one we may have to play in its entirety. How could we not, right? Here it comes. Beautiful song. Keith's vocals are just, you know, this is, I mean, make no mistake about it. Keith Richards, great singer. And this certainly demonstrates that.
A peachy kind of girl. Her eyes were hazel and her nose was slightly curved. We spent a lonely night at the Memory Motel. It's on the ocean, I guess you know it well. It took a starry night to steal my breath away. Down on the waterfront, her hair all drenched in spray. And her baby was a honey of a girl. Her eyes were hazel, her teeth were slightly curved. She took my guitar and she began to play. She sang a song to me, stuck right in my brain. You're just a memory of a love that used to be. You're just a memory of a love used to mean so much to me. She got a mind of her own and she uses it well. Yeah, well, she's one of the kind. She drove a pickup truck painted green and blue. The tires were wearing thin, she turned a mile or two. When I asked her where she headed for, back up to Boston, I'm singing in a bar. I got to fly today on down to Baton Rouge. My nerves are shot already, the road ain't all that smooth. Crossing Texas is the road to San Antonio. I keep on the feeling that now in my bones. Yeah, just a memory, just a memory that used to mean so much to me. Just a memory. You're just a memory. Just a memory that used to mean so much to me. Yeah, you're just a memory, girl. You're just a memory that used to mean so much to me. Sha-la-la, sha-la-la-la, sha-la-la-la, sha-la-la-la. You're just a memory of a love that used to mean so much to me. She got a mind of her own and she uses it well. Yeah, mighty fine. to 70, my eyes were all aglaze. We've been 10,000 miles, we've been in 15 states. Every woman seemed to fade out of my mind. I hit the bottle, I hit the soccer cry. What's all this laughter?
That's the 16-inch crash right there. Check it out. Here it comes again.
Some friends of mine in the bus stand down the door. Been a lonely night at the Memory Motel.
The 16.
Memory girl, just a memory. And you used to mean so much to me. You're just a memory girl. You're just a memory. And you used to mean so much to me. You're just a memory girl. You're just a memory. And you used to mean so much to me. You're just a memory of a love that used to mean so much to me. She got a mind of her own and she uses it well. Yeah. Well, she's one of a kind.
Man, what a piece of music. So yeah, so I hope you heard those different sections there, different crashes. When you listen to your head with your headphones, you can really hear the difference between a 16-inch thin crash and a big 20-inch crash cymbal. And they're the way he uses them in different places, they have a different, effect in different spots where a bigger crash obviously has a bigger decay and a lower sound. So it just gives more emphasis to that part. And then the bright, fast sound of a 16-inch thin crash is very, it's really accentuates, again, a real exclamation point, so to speak. One of the things I was going to mention as well, and just a little side note, is this record came out 18 months after It's Only Rock and Roll. And up till that time, they were releasing a record every year, almost at the same time every year. They'd released like Exile on Main Street in the spring of 1972, and then Goat's Head Soup late summer of 73. It's Only Rock and Roll in the fall of 74. And then this came out 18 months later. And the next studio record after that was Some Girls 2 years later in June of 1978. So they started to kind of slow things down a little bit. Things started to change, I think, for the band at that point. And I think of this as like a pivotal time for them. Another thing, just to talk about Charlie's playing, all you drummers listening, you notice in that song, it's the beginning. I mean, he had been doing this on other songs in the past, but it's the beginning of a more kind of economical, simplified style of playing where he's playing just quarter notes on the bass drum, just, not quite four on the floor, but just a one beat on the bass drum and sometimes two, but not playing the sort of standard, and that song maybe isn't a song where that would have even worked for it, but he's not playing what he had played, what a lot of drummers would play, which should be a boom, boom, ta, boom, ta, boom, boom. It's just something that just matched the melody of what that song was so perfectly. Just a very simple bass drum part that just supported it, made it groove, made it feel great. We talked about the sound of the drums, just incredible. And the cool thing about that song too, I meant to mention this before, but I'll just point out, is that you had both of the auditioning guitar players on that one. You had, or two of the three. I keep kind of referring to Ronnie Wood as someone that wasn't really auditioning, but you had Harvey Mandel playing the electric guitar, and you had Wayne Perkins playing the acoustic guitar on that song. Keith played no guitars on that song. He played the piano. Billy Preston played the synthesizer, and Mick and Keith did the vocals, of course, and Bill Wyman. And my buddy and my bandmate Paul Candelori, I saw a comment a while back here where he said that's Bill playing a fretless bass. Okay, thank you, Ace. I did not know it was fretless, um, but there you go. So Bill Wyman playing a fretless bass. So let's move on to side two. Now, on this next song, this is the first song in side two, and I'm laughing because again, we all, if you've looked at the credits, you know that Ronnie Wood is credited on this song for the quote inspiration, just like he was for It's Only Rock and Roll, but I like it. So what that means, so I'm going to back up. Ron Westwood, are we hearing the hi-hat lift yet? I I don't think so. It's possible, but I certainly don't hear it in there, him lifting off the hi-hat. Sounds pretty steady to me, pretty solid eighth notes. Anyway, so you've got Ronnie Wood credited for inspiration, and that's a kind way of not having to pay him royalties for writing credit. And God bless Mick and Keith. They were masters at that, crediting somebody with the inspiration, i.e., not writing credit. So I think we can all assume from that Ronnie Wood had a part in writing this song. I mean, it's pretty obvious to me. He really stands out. This is Ronnie playing really, I mean, Keith's playing a great rhythm part, but Ronnie playing, a very dominant lead guitar part, solid guitar part in this song. And I've seen them play this live. I think, no, maybe I've not seen it. I'm thinking Crazy Mama, I've seen them play live a bunch of times, which is great. And we will certainly get to that song, but I'm going to keep moving here. We're going to play Hey Negrita, first song, side 2. And again, here we go. Ridiculous groove here. Listen to where Charlie puts the beat. This breakdown is so great. Timothy Larson asked if that's Harvey Mandel on guitar in this song, but it's listen closely. You can it's totally Ronnie Wood. Um, that's Ronnie's style when you listen to his solos. Um, yeah, no doubt that's Ronnie all the way there. And as I said, kind of setting this up, he was credited as being the inspiration for it. So that leads me to think that he probably wrote the melody. If I had to guess, I don't know, but it's definitely Ronnie, playing the solo parts to it, and Keith playing that killer rhythm part. So we're going to move on to the next song. And admittedly, again, this was a song that I didn't fall in love with immediately, but it's certainly one that I've grown to love over the years. As I love all these songs. Come on, what are we talking about here? Um, Little funny thing, this is one of these records. It's front to back, only 8 songs, and the whole album times out at about 40 minutes, like 40 minutes and 40 seconds or some crazy thing. And there was a time when I swear I'm not being boastful because this was years ago, but I would go out and I'd run 5 miles and I would try to clock my 5 miles to get all my miles in before this record finished. So that would be about 8 minutes and something per mile. Those days are long gone, folks. Yeah, I could maybe get through. I'd probably run 3 miles in the time it takes now. It's to listen to this record. So anyway, though, it was a fun thing to do because it's a short record to just kind of go, okay, I'm going to get out there and going to try to get the whole record, listen to the whole thing and be done, with my workout by the time the record finishes. But you know, it's a great, testimony, I guess you could say, to being able to just play it from front to back, from side one all the way through to side two all the way through. And lots of great songs all the way through. Okay. I'm going to read a question from Tony. Tony, forgive me. Your last name is DEC, so I don't know if it's short for something or if it's Deck, but let's see. Anyone want to weigh in on why Fool to Cry was the top 10 single here? So many great choices. Tony, you took the words out of my mouth, and I was going to get to that when we got to that song, but let's talk about it now, Tony. I'm with you 100%. I never got that. I don't know if that was Deck. Okay. Tony Deck. Thank you. Thank you for being here today, by the way, too, Tony. Appreciate it. Um, I don't know if that was one of those situations where I can't imagine by the time they released this record in 76 that the record company had that kind of control where they decided what was going to be a single and what wasn't, although it's possible. It is possible. But, those are the things that happen early in a band's career where they have little to no say over those things. And the record company says, we think this is going to be the hit. This is going to be the single. So we're going to release this. And it's a turkey. And you hear these stories all the time where the band will say, no, we want to release this one. And 99% of the time, when they do get their way and release, the band gets to release what they want to release, that ends up being the hit. And more often than not, the record company blows it and releases a dud. Now, I'm not saying Fool to Cry is a dud, but why they wouldn't have released Hand of Fate as a single, I don't know. Why they wouldn't have released Crazy Mama as a single or Memory Motel. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. My 15-year-old self loved it. Yeah, I was 15 at the same when this came out too, same age. But why? Yeah, that's the question. I don't know. I don't know why. My guess is maybe it was beyond their control, and they just had to. They just had to do it. They just had to release that as a single. But I believe, if we look back at history, I think the song did chart. I think Fool to Cry did chart maybe in the top 10, and it might have even gone to number 1. Who knows? Let's see if I can find this here. Number 6 on the UK singles chart, number 10 on the US Billboard Hot 100. So it did hit the top 10, as I said. It probably did. But I don't know how long it stayed there. It didn't go to number 1 anywhere in the world. It got as high as, number 6 in the UK, and in Ireland. Okay, anyway, there's our answer as far as how it did. Yes, thank you, Todd Little, number 10. Okay, so we're going to proceed with the next song, which, as I said, is Melody. And this is a really cool little swinging tune. I'm guessing Charlie had a great time recording this song. You know, he got to play a little brushes, a little swing time, little groovy thing. And I'm going to just make sure that I haven't missed any other questions here. This is going to be, this show will be available tomorrow on my YouTube channel, live from my drum room. Please take a moment, go to YouTube and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done that, live from my drum room. And then when this comes on tomorrow, you'll be notified. It will also be available in an audio form on all podcast platforms, as all my podcasts are. So unfortunately, if you're listening to this tomorrow, you're missing all the visuals, but that's okay. Just use your imagination. All right. And Harvey is just on Hot Stuff and Memory Motel. This is correct. Okay. I'm just, again, making sure I didn't miss anything important here. All right. We're going to keep going, everybody. You're all being a great audience and great participators in this, and I appreciate it. All right. So here comes Melody. Oh, and I should, one last thing, and I'm going to chuckle again. This has inspiration by Billy Preston. So again, connect the dots on that one. Billy does a sort of co-vocal part with Mick and great piano part. So I think we could draw that conclusion that Billy probably co-wrote or maybe even wrote this song. Who knows? The great Billy Preston. Here we go. Who, of course, toured with the Stones from 75 on. Actually, he was there in 73. I'm wrong. From 73 on. Here we go.
A second name, Melody, Melody. It was a second name, Melody, Melody. Yeah. It was a second name, Melody, Melody. It was a second name. Came home one morning about 1:45. I banged on my door 'cause I just lost my key. Open up, baby, you got someone else inside. I'm gonna come get you, dead or alive. Melody, Melody, it was a second name. Melody, Melody, yeah, it was a second name. Melody, yeah, it was a second name. Melody, yeah, it was a second name. I took her out dancing, but she drank away my pain. She said, I'm gonna fix my face, don't you worry, I'll be back. I'm looking for a high low, like a musty for a hand. She crashed out in the bathroom and the arms of my best friend. Melody, was a second name, Melody, yeah. It was a second name, Melody, yeah. It was a second name, Melody, Melody, yeah. It was a second name, Melody, Melody. It was a second name, Melody. It was a second name. Then one day she left me. She took everything I moved. My car, she took my trailer home. She took my Sunday boots. My nose was on the trail. I'm gonna catch you by surprise. And I'm gonna have to pressure said, it was a second night. Melody. It was a second night. Oh, yeah. It was a second night. Melody. Well, it was a second night. Yeah, yeah, baby. It was a second night.
Sorry, I'm fading it just before the horns come in there, but I'm going to keep things moving here. And I wanted to just take a moment and give you a little closer look of my Gretsch drum set. I wish I could tell you that it was Charlie's exact set, but it's, again, for all you drummers, it's a pretty darn close facsimile of the drums that he used for this record by my estimation. And yeah. And I've even got on this kit, although you can't really see them too well, there's a Paiste 2002, early 1970s, 2002 Paiste medium cymbal and the ride part. The crash is a Zildjian 16-inch A thin. It sounds very close to the Paiste Charlie had. I've even got a Rogers hi-hat stand like Charlie used, and on it I have some vintage Paiste 602 sound edge hi-hats. And you can't see it behind the tom-tom, but there's a Gretsch chrome over brass snare drum there. Pretty much identical to what Charlie used. So there you have it. There's that. Let's proceed to the song we were just talking about, Fool to Cry. This was their sort of hit single from the record. And yeah, we'll give this a listen. They do play this song quite a bit live. I think someone, Brian County or someone, commented a moment ago that they had played this recently, maybe on their most recent tour. I've seen them do this a number of times live. So, you know, it definitely gets a reaction from the audience and people know it. So, okay, here comes Fool to Cry.
Come home, baby, and I've been working all night long. I put my daughter on my knee, and she said, Daddy, what's wrong? She whispered in my ear so sweet. You know what she said? She said, Daddy, you're a fool to cry. You're a fool to cry. And it makes me wonder why. Daddy, you're a fool. You know, I got a woman. She live in a poor part of town, and I go see her sometime, and we make love so fine. I put my head on her shoulder. She said, tell me all in trouble. You know what she said? She said, ooh, Daddy, you're a fool.
I will say Charlie's snare sound on this song in particular is really, really spectacular.
Daddy, you're a fool to cry. Even my friends say to me sometimes, I make out like I don't understand. You know
Right
what
here.
they say? They say, ooh, Daddy, you're a fool to cry. You're a fool to cry. And it makes me wonder why. I'm a fool, baby. Yeah.
Yeah, those cool little 16th notes that he switches to in the hi-hat there during the as it fades out. I guess it doesn't fade out, does it? Comes to an ending. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about, the coda. Um, and interestingly, we know that there are two songs, actually three technically, but there are two songs that were from these sessions, "Slave" and "Worried About You," that have the exact same. I remember hearing them on "Tattoo You," and really hearing how they sounded so much like this record, the sound of the drums, especially, I fixate on the sound of the drums. And I remember thinking like, wow, he's got that, it's that same. And of course, we later found out they were from that session and then they were just held over until they put them on Tattoo You. But, that's for another time. When we talk about Tattoo You, maybe we'll get into those songs. I don't know if we'll have time today. We're getting close to the end here. So let's go to the last song, Crazy Mama, a real rocker. Yeah, I wanted to point out in this song in particular, listen as it gets to the end during the coda. I think what really makes this song is Ronnie Wood's riff, that little, if you've heard them play this live or just heard this song, that thing that Ronnie plays over Keith is just so tasty and so cool. And he plays it as the song fades out. No. And then he kind of answers it. No. Anyway, that's Ronnie Wood, and very, very tasteful part. So let's get on with it, and let's play the last song. This is Crazy Mama, song 8 from Black and Blue. Here it comes. A real rocker.
Well, you crazy mama, with your ball chain and your soul shotgun, your blown out brain.
was that cool of a riff? Hey, I want to give a quick shout out to my dear friend, really, really, really very important man who unfortunately was not able to join me live today because he's in Ireland working. I hope it's okay to say this with you too. But my dear friend and good buddy, Don McCauley, who's Charlie Watts's and now Steve Jordan's drum tech, is watching. And I just want to read his comments. Such a great swagger in that laid back beat on Crazy Mama. Absolutely, Don. You nailed it. And we're just about to wrap up here, but I wanted to just say hi to Don. And Don, thanks for that great comment because that sums it up perfectly. And I do want to also clarify something I somewhat misspoke. This song, if you, according to the liner notes, credits Mick playing electric guitar and Keith, of course, playing electric guitar. Lead guitar Keith, but it says solo overdub ending Billy, Keith, Ron. Now, I would bet my vintage Gretsch drum sets, all of them, that little part we just heard at the end was Ronnie Wood. That I've heard them do this song a number of times, and that's Ronnie. It sounds like him. You know what I mean? It's that sound, it's that tone, it's the way he plays. So that little bit at the end there was Woody, was Ronnie Wood. But a lot of those, what I thought to be were Ronnie Wood, or it sounds like was Keith. Those little sections where there's like a lead guitar. And Keith was playing a lot of lead guitar back then. So anyway, little point of clarification. You heard the first note of Slave. I had that queued up in case we had a little more time, but I'm going to wrap it up now. We've been going a long time here. And Slave, of course, and Worried About You were recorded during these sessions, but as I said, they held off and put those on Tattoo You, which came out 5 years later in 1981, which was as well as the sort of germ of an idea for Start Me Up, which was also sort of, they started running that during these sessions in a different form, in my understanding, as a reggae song. And then it came together as we know it now on Tattoo You, thanks to the great Chris Kimsey. But maybe we'll do a Tattoo You deep dive down the road. But this has been a lot of fun. I appreciate you guys tuning in and hanging with me and offering all your thoughts and input and comments. It's been great to read them and revisit this classic record. So thank you guys. I hope you'll tune in next week for my show with Carmine Apiece. And I want to just read you what Don McCauley is saying here. Hi, Johnny. Seen them played at the rehearsals and definitely Ronnie playing that riff. Yeah, so it's certainly, and then, that's also on the El Mocambo live record, at the El Mocambo Club. And that's Ronnie playing that part at the end of it. And it sounds just like the record. It sounds exactly like how it sounds on the Black and Blue studio version. So, okay. Thanks for watching, everybody. I really appreciate it. Stay warm, stay safe, and I'll see y'all again real soon. All right. And again, if you missed any of this, you can watch it on YouTube. Go to Live from My Drum Room on YouTube. Subscribe so you never miss a show. You can download the podcast on all podcast platforms. Leave me a comment. Leave me a message. If you liked it, even if you didn't like it, tell me why. I want to hear all this stuff. All right. See you guys soon. Thanks again for watching.